This is how Logan Paul got scammed out of $3.5 million in a Pokémon card deal that went terribly wrong.
Uh-oh. See how they're curvy and puffy.
Very light. They don't look right. Okay, let's get it going. Let's open one.
What's inside of him? It's fake, bro. It's fake.
Through a series of ever-changing, implausible backstories to very unconvincing packaging and a history of dodgy sales, we'll look into how this happened. So how did Logan Paul find himself scammed out of $3.5 million worth of Pokémon cards? Well, let's start right at the beginning. The origins of this case go right back to a sketchy listing on eBay in early 2021. Just for context, one box of these Pokémon cards are generally valued at around $400,000. A case holds 6 of these boxes. The questionable eBay listing had this whole case up for sale for a fraction of the supposed value at just $90,000. This was the first of many major red flags. Despite this, a buyer named D&B Liquidations contacted the seller and made an off-site bid for the case on the condition that he could go and meet the seller and open the box up. And if the contents were as advertised, he would buy the case in cash there and then. The seller refused. Red flag number 2. And things would only get way more sketchier going forward. So, let's dig a little further into the murky origins of this case. During the time the listing was still on eBay, the seller began telling people completely different stories about how he came into possession of the case. The first was about finding the case at an estate sale. The second was about him getting the case for his 12th birthday, and later on, in the timeline, there would be a third and even a fourth different story. More red flags. Eventually, the case was purchased outside of eBay by 2 individuals. A trading card investor named Jacob, also known as Card Kahuna, and Jamil, the owner of a collectibles card shop called Mealypox, and we'd soon hear that they'd sought to get the case authenticated by a baseball card authenticating company known as BBCE. This decision and the resulting authentication would later come under heavy scrutiny, particularly after it caught the attention of one very diligent internet detective. But before this, let's rewind back to how the case ended up in Logan's possession. After having the case authenticated, Jacob and Jamil would use this as a major selling point when sounding out potential high-end collectors and investors, and eventually would agree a $2.7 million sale to one of the sport's biggest trading card investors, a man by the name of Shine, who would later cite that the only reason he bought the case was because of the BBCE authentication. Shine would then later go on to agree to sell the case to Logan Paul for $3.5 million. And due to the spotlight this would bring onto the case itself, the gaze of one of Pokemon's biggest and most knowledgeable community of collectors, the E4 message boards, and in particular one of the members, Rattle Pokemon, would fall on the authenticity of this box. And this is when things began to unravel very quickly. So, how did this house of Pokemon cards come tumbling down? Well, in late December of 2021, a YouTuber by the name of Rattle Pokemon began uploading a series of videos where he would examine and question the authenticity of the case and uncover a myriad of inconsistencies and lies which would devolve into deceit, threats, and even bribery by all those involved in the buying and selling of this case. Rattle would point out not only the numerous differing and sketching origins of the case, but also later build a compelling argument with plenty of evidence that the labels and the sealing of the case itself were all forged, further proving that this case was fake. He would also begin questioning the competence and capability of the BBCE that authenticated the case in the first place, for not only not being able to spot the issues with the fake labels and the resealing, but for also not allegedly even knowing anything about the set of Pokemon cards that they were authenticating after uncovering previously read emails sent by the owner. During this time of making videos, Rattle would begin getting angry private messages from Mealypops and threatening emails from Card Kahuna implying legal action. Rattle would later allege that he received private messages from a personal account of Card Kahuna offering Rattle $500,000 to delete all of the videos, as he didn't want Logan Paul to open the case. Something that Logan Paul would soon tweet out that he would be doing after taking notice of Rattle's videos on an IGN tweet. Logan would declare that he was flying to Chicago to meet with the BBCE and would ask them to explain how they authenticated the case and for them to open up the case and find out if the contents in the case were real. On the 13th of January 2021, Logan Paul would post a video of him and the company of Shine, who sold the case to Logan, the Pokejew, who assisted Shine in buying the case from Mealypops and Card Kahuna, and the owner of the BBCE, who was the ones who authenticated the case. They would open up the case and very quickly realise it was fake.
Why are they so puffy though? Like, see how the shape though?
They don't look right.
They don't look right.
They don't look right.
See how they're curvy and puffy.
Very light. They don't look right. Okay, let's get it going. Let's open more.
Oh no, why is it bending like that? Why is it bending like that? What's inside of him? It's fake, man.